Council, we've had a busy year, including in ways that we interact with you a lot, and you see a lot of that through our regular newsletter in the Gazette. There'll be another edition of that coming out before Christmas that'll keep you up to date and obviously into next year. But all of our councillors are here today and enjoying spending some time with you. We hope that you all enjoy. On behalf of them, we hope that you enjoy whatever the Christmas New Year break means to you, whether it's staying at home, friends and family visiting, or you're travelling away, or whatever it is. We hope you enjoy it and you stay safe over that time. Today we thought it would be a fitting opportunity because of the involvement of these people with a lot of people in this room and with the community, and therefore there'd be no more grassroots community event than this Christmas lunch that's held pretty well every year. Three very long-standing servants of the community were recognised, or we would like to take the opportunity to recognise. Unfortunately, the first one I want to acknowledge for you today, the former Deputy Mayor of the Barkey Shire, Barkey Regional Council, Jenni Garry, retired at the last election. She actually would have genuinely loved to be here, but one of her few holidays every year is to go house sitting for her family at this time of the year, and so she's away for a couple of days. But Jenni was a very loyal servant to both the Aramac Shire Council and the Barcaldine Regional Council after amalgamation. A couple of the areas that she was a big driving force in was the preservation of our local history, whether it be buildings, families and traditions, tracking back to the roots, and spent a lot of time and effort, not only in her own community, but in communities all around the council area, ensuring that we correctly encapsulated the history of those areas. She was appointed to the Tree of Knowledge Committee in 2008 and the Council Facilities Advisory Committee, specifically for community housing and public buildings, also in 2008. One of the infrastructure legacies that Jenni was a big driving force behind, and along with the Muttaburra Community Development Association, was the Muttaburrasaurus Interpretation Centre, which is a world-class engineering feat that's now been fully decked out and is a truly unique tourist attraction, but educational for people of all ages. So, look, we do have a small gift for Jenni. Unfortunately, she's not here, but could you please all join with me in thanking Jenni for her many years of loyal service to you and your communities. Remiss of me in saying to thank Jenni was to thank David, her husband. He would have had some testing conversations with her when he got home after a long day in the chamber. The next person I'd like to acknowledge has been fortunate to be able to be with us today, and that's Garry Bettiens, former councillor Garry Bettiens. Garry was sworn into the Barcaldine Regional Council when it first came into being after amalgamation on the 2nd of April. Was an inaugural member of the RADF, the Regional Arts Development Fund, and as well as chair of that committee from 2012 through to 2020. He was appointed as one of the representatives from the Health Advisory Committee, including aged care, the Multi-Purpose Health Service and Home and Community Care in 2008. He was appointed as one of the representatives for the Rural Services Advisory Committee in 2008, as well as one of our representatives on that Facilities Advisory Committee that Jenni was appointed to for staff and community housing, as well as public buildings. He was also in 2012 appointed our representative for the Australian Workers' Heritage Centre. He's also well known for his work with Barcaldine Aged Care and helping a volunteer organisation develop what is probably best practice for ageing in place or residential aged care solutions, which have been developed here in Barcaldine with various levels of state and federal government either support or funding, as well as local government buy-in and funding. And of course, we've seen the product of that, and we'll continue to see the fruition to that. But more than just his work to council, Garry and his family, through his various business endeavours and his own personal support, spend a massive amount of time as well as money, but time's the big thing that people really value in supporting community groups, whether it be the rugby league or the aged care or the senior citizens. And he On his decision to retire from council in April 2020, with no aspersion on any current or former serving councillor, left a gaping hole in that respect. So unfortunately his wife can't be with us here today, but we do have a gift for both of them, and I'd like to ask you to thank sincerely as I ask Garry Bettiens to come forward and receive a token of our appreciation. The one thing you could always know that Garry would be very quick to do is remove the tie after a council meeting. So, yeah, he's well dressed today.
Thank you very much. Thank you, this will be very short. Thank you, Sean, and thank you, councillors. I did really appreciate my time on council, and I do miss it in some ways, and other ways I don't. I know it's getting harder and harder for everyone to be on council and be involved in business and even involved in community groups. It's very hard now with all the interests you have to declare and so forth. But just thanks everyone for your support over the years. I did enjoy it, and I'm certainly not going anywhere. Thank you very much, and have a good Christmas. Thank you.
Garry, you got more stuff here.
Thank you very much. Thank
you. Thanks, Garry. So the next identity is certainly no stranger to anyone in this room, and indeed anyone who's been connected with local government or regional affairs anywhere in Queensland, if not Australia, for the last probably 15 or 20 years. This name's also very synonymous, and that's Rob Chandler and his wife Deb, who are here this afternoon with us. Rob first elected to the former Barcaldine Shire Council on the 10th of April 2000 and served on council until 2004. He was elected there to the position of mayor. He served as mayor until council amalgamations in 2008, and following those amalgamations was voted in as mayor, a position he retained until 2020. Rob served in a number of really important boards whilst on council. He was on the board of the Outback Queensland Tourism Association, Red Ridge Interior. He served as one of the inaugural board members, I think, on Rescue, Rural Financial Counselling Service North Queensland. He contributed to the Community Policing Board, served and significantly contributed to the Fitzroy and Central West Regional Development Australia Board. He was a chair for a number of events and a long-serving member of the Remote Area Planning and Development Board, which we all just know as RAPID. He was on the policy executive of the Local Government Association of Queensland, a position of real influence that he used for the betterment of not only Barcaldine Regional Council but regional Queensland as a whole. He was the Queensland representative of the All Queensland Councils Committee and on the National Drought Committee. He had a very keen interest in tourism, and projects that he contributed to in his term as mayor include the building of the Tree of Knowledge Memorial, the refurbishment of the Globe Hotel, and the Barcaldine Racecourse turf track, as well as being very instrumental in the commencement of the Barcaldine Recreation Park. In November last year, Council resolved, following a long-standing tradition, to rename the Town Hall Park, right to the west of where we sit now, as Rob Chandler Park. Rob, as in a minute when I asked him to come forward, has been honoured for his dedication to local government with a certificate of service by the Local Government Association of Queensland, and the State of Queensland as well, contribute to that recognition of service. Rob continues to serve his community. Rob and Deb together have been an integral member of this community, both prior to moving to town and since, in various business operations and public life. And it gives me great honour to thank him on your behalf for the 20 plus years of service, formally through his time as an elected councillor, but the many years before and and God willing, while he stays patient enough to work for us all in the service of economic development in this area, could you please thank and ask, as I ask both Deb and Rob, please, to come forward and receive a token of appreciation on behalf of the community and council.
Thank you, Sean, and I suppose straight off the bat I should say thank you, Deb, because every night I get home from a council meeting or a public meeting, I would unload on Deb. So she's a pretty good sounding board, and it's not very long to go. We've been together for 45 years, so that's not a bad effort. I was just thinking, as Sean was talking, behind me sitting John Miller, a long-serving member of the Barcaldine Shire Council, and me having to make the decision to stand against John for mayor after one term in local government. And then I went on to serve for 16 years as mayor, and then Sean stood up and has taken over the reins of the council, and I think our council is in very, very good hands. Not just Sean, but the councillors that we have representing us. But the last 16 years have been great as mayor. The last 20 years in local government has really given me the opportunity to do the things that I love doing, and that is making our communities better. But it's the last 12 years that I served as the mayor of the amalgamated council, Barcaldine Regional Council, that was even more rewarding. There was no worse time in local government than amalgamation. It really did tear the hearts out of communities right across Queensland. And the councillors over those first 2 or 3 terms, I think, and continuing to do so, it's really comforting to see that our communities are really getting on well together. They're developing as communities, and we are one council, and that's the way it's got to be. And it's great to see Alpha and Jericho and Aramac here today joining in this seniors lunch. So Sean, to you and your councillors, thank you. To Deborah, thank you. To all my fellow councillors. I said to someone the other day, in local government land and other boards that I served on, I had 25 CEOs. And Deborah was my 26th. And she was the only CEO that I was scared of. Thank you all so much. Have a very, very Merry Christmas. Stay safe, everyone. God bless, and we'll see you around the traps over the next few years.
Well, thank you very much for allowing us to share those very important commemorations with you, and we'll stop interfering with what's with the rest of your afternoon and your drawing of the raffles. But to Garry and Jenni and to Rob and your respective partners and families, thank you very much, and we look forward to continuing to work together. Thank you.